Hey there, adventure seekers. I'm Kenny, host of the Novel World Travels podcast, where I'll explore the transformative power of experience. Dive deep with me as I chat with extraordinary people, uncovering the lessons hidden in their journeys, the good, the bad, and the life-changing. Live vicariously, embrace new perspectives, and grow along with me on the Novel World Travels podcast. Hey everybody, welcome to the Novel World Travels podcast. So I am in beautiful Patterson Park here in Baltimore, Maryland. For all of you who watch on YouTube and Spotify, you'll be able to see what I'm doing. This probably won't be as refined as the normal podcast, but I'm in town visiting my dad actually. So typically these episodes have interviews with interesting people of all kinds, and I kind of rushed out of town to take care of my dad in the hospital. I'll tell you about that in a second. So since I don't have my equipment, it makes it, and also I've been pretty much on the go and moving back and forth. I have to kind of do a solo episode, so that's what I'm doing here. And we're here. I'm just here to kind of chat with you about a few things. Number one, so I come in, and my dad's, doing pretty. He's having a tough time, but he's, surviving. And I don't think he'd mind me sharing it. If you've listened to my podcast, earlier on, he was like the second or third episode. Interesting dude. Hopefully I'll get him on here to talk some more. He has a lot to say when I have conversations with him. He always has the coolest stories, and he's super funny, and it'll be nice to share that all with you some more. But also I have another episode where he was on the Mackinac, and it wasn't a podcast episode. It was on my vlog on Novel World Travels vlog, and he's telling the story of how he was on the U.S. Coast Guard ship icebreaker Mackinac, and how he kind of got scooted off the ship for one reason or the other. Go ahead and check that video out if you get a chance. You get to know my dad a little bit. But this channel is about sharing the transformative power of experience and travel. And it means a lot to me to share that with you, because that's what I kind of value. I value, the lessons I learned from different experiences and the things I learned from travel. And, I love hearing from people. When I talk to people on here, I'm genuinely curious about, the questions I ask, and I have a lot more. I'm kind of testing this podcast format out, but I've kind of kept it to an hour. I could probably talk to some of those people for hours, probably would in a normal conversation. But I also want to share that with you, because we all need to learn from each other. We're all a big family. One of the things that I kind of acquired from my dad is his imagination. He's always a curious guy, and he's imagining things, and his imagination. And I have imagination too, but I use it for multiple things. And sometimes I, imagine what could it be like to be, at the end of my life, or in a situation where I have to look back. And, when I think that way, it makes me want to get out and experience life, I want to get out and experience the world, different places, so when I look back, I can say, man, I did everything I could. And I guess being here, working with my dad and my family, my brother, I'm just, I'm reminded of how short our little lives are here. And that's kind of why it's important to me to, to live life, and to encourage other people to get outside. In a way, I'm really encouraging myself. There wasn't always a time I was as active as I was. Different periods of my time, I wasn't. And so I remind myself to keep it moving and keep exploring. That to me, that's kind of what keeps you young. When your mind's always being challenged and exposed to new things, it, like exercises your brain. For you guys watching on YouTube and Spotify, I'm gonna let you get a little peek of the park instead of just me. So here's the park here. It's kind of pretty. I didn't do any research here to tell you any history because I don't know. I just wanted to take a walk. I needed one. It's just nice to get outside. I can tell you one thing. I do miss the Denver air. I'm sick of this humidity already. I mean, I'm not dying out here. I'm not even sweating yet, but I don't know. It definitely feels like I'm walking through thicker air. So when it comes to my vlogs, there's a lot of things I like. There's some themes I usually have, like I'm really into libraries, islands. I love art. So you see quite a bit of that, especially street art here. And so I want to kind of give you some of the reasons why I have interest in those things, starting with the library. There's an essay I wrote, I can't remember where I have it, but it's called Taking Home the World. And I want to read it to you one day, but today's not the day. But basically it was talking about, one of the things that got me interested in the world. And, another interest of mine was, reading. So I started working in the library as an elementary school student on Treasure Island. And a lot of you remember those big atlases they would have on a separate pedestal. And you could check out all the other books, but that was a reference. So you couldn't take that home. Or your boy somehow figured out how to take it home because, my mom always put maps on my wall, So when I was bad and I had to stay in the room, then I looked at the maps and decided where am I going to be, where I'm going to go. I mean, when I grow up, what is this place like? What is that place like? And, so like the atlas had way more detail. It had like topography. It had like city sizes. They have different colored dots and different size dots to tell you the size of the city. Libraries were really, really cool to me. And until Google came around, I was in libraries very often. I think everybody should take advantage of their library because there's so many free services and so many resources. I mean, there's some libraries, check your library. You might get free tickets to the zoo, free tickets to the botanical gardens. You might get there's equipment sometimes that they have for rent, like game consoles, DVD players, if you don't really, have one of those anymore. And so somebody just gave me the peace sign. So, once again, if you're on YouTube, you're good. I don't know about the other podcast services. Spotify, they have video. Other services don't. So, anyway. So, I go to the library when the internet was getting big and they had the little computers to get on the internet. I would go there before I was able to get a computer myself. I don't think I had my first computer until I was maybe like 22, 23. Yeah. And that was that. So I don't know how much you'll be able to hear, but in the background, I might, get all the background noise out, but I'm walking by the pool. Lots of kids, it's summertime, lots of kids out there doing their thing, having fun, swimming, screaming, stuff that kids are supposed to do. So that's the library. So I like going to libraries. I like to see the size of the libraries. I like to see what the selection is. It's interesting to see like how well funded the library is, and who really cares about the library. Sometimes the library is just like the last thing for them to shut down in some cities, some towns. Some have them really elaborate and they're beautiful. Like if any of you seen my vlog in Seattle where I go to the Seattle library, that thing is a beast. It had all kinds of resources. It had a theater. It had like 500 floors. I mean, it probably had I think it was like 12 floors or something like that, but not quite 500. But it had a lot that went with it, and it was beautiful. I mean, it just seemed like everybody was pleased with it. I like that. Another one, Enoch Pratt Library. Love it. Super old. It's kind of different. It's more traditional. Super old, and looks cool. So forgive me if my speech is delayed because I'm kind of looking around as I walk. I'm always curious. Yeah, so that's the library thing. And, it kind of got me in touch with the world when I couldn't go explore myself. I'm watching movies and TV shows and things that happen all over the world. Mr. Rogers and Sesame Street, it's schooling me to what's happening around the world. And, I found out library is where you get the information from to find out where things were. That's all I needed to know. It's time to connect with the library. That's what I've done all my life, even to this day. But Google and AI have kind of taken away a lot of the libraries. My need for the library, I should say. So then islands are really cool. It's fascinating to think about for me. So I'm always trying to go to an island, like the Catalina Island video that just came out. That was really cool. Treasure Island, that was really cool. Mackinac Island, I just like islands. Not necessarily because it's, tropical or, I'll go, what's that island up in, in somewhere in the Arctic Circle or above Iceland. I can't remember which one. It's like Svalbard or something like that. Yeah, I'd like to go to that one. And that's not even warm. It's just interesting. It just always has its, I feel like, you can go all over the country and you see all kinds of cultures. But when you hit an island, it's almost always going to have its own culture and its own way of doing things, its own slang for different, businesses and landmarks, and and they're gonna, you're gonna sense that when you get there, and that's what I enjoy. I enjoy that. Catalina Island had its own thing, and people were really friendly. The ones I met, I didn't see too many people hanging outside their house, so I didn't really get to meet people. It's just the people I came across. Some of them could be workers for all I know, so who knows? But that was a good one. I want to get to the art, the creativity part. That always interests me because some of the most interesting people I know, creativity is a part of their life, part of their job, part of who they are. They just need to express themselves. And they've always, without fail, been my favorite people. I love to see visual artists. I love to see, musicians. I love the work that they do. And I like to see a person who's passionate about a particular art and does their best to express themselves in it. I love to see, engineers. You talk about creativity. To me, in some ways, that's ultimate creativity. To make things creatively and they be practical to our lives. That's hardcore to me. So, yeah, them, musicians, visual artists, scientists, yeah, and it just so happens you're driving down the street, you don't you know, you're not yelling out for, hey, are any creative engineers on the street? No. So you don't always, I don't, if I met people like that, I'd feature them more. But what I mostly see is art on the streets. I went to the chalk art festival, and that was pretty cool, pretty interesting concept. People all put all their talent into some works of art, and the next day it could be washed away or ran over. So it's just like really interesting to think about. I wish I could have talked to some chalk artists about how they feel about that. It's not a major thing. There's something to think about. When some of the artists that we admire now from the past, they made things like, I guess, the Mona Lisa, since that's the most well-known, and they expected that to be around for a while, hopefully for ages, if they had their say. And they painted in a manner that said that, where some people were just like, let me draw this beautiful thing here on the concrete, and that's going to be that. And I just there's something about that I like and admire, and I think you can learn from that. It's like the mandalas that the Tibetan monks do. They have the little sand and they make designs, and then they mess it up when they're done. They admire it and then they mess it all up. So it's like anything you consider beautiful, all things are beautiful, will come to an end at some point, I guess. And then something begins again and is also beautiful. It's like a lesson in letting go in some ways. So yeah, I always appreciate artists. I love people who have cool shirts on, cool hats on, cool tattoos, cool shoes, cool house. That tells me a lot. If you're willing to make your house different, then you are committed to being an interesting individual. So for all you people who can see this podcast, I am sweating now. I don't know if you can see that or not. I can't see through the sunglasses, but yeah, I'm sweating. But I'm walking through the park. It's beautiful. People are just having a good day. I mean, yeah, this is like guaranteed shower zone. If you even take a little step in this park in the summertime, you need to go take an immediate shower, because this humidity, man, it's something else. I'm really glad that I can connect with you. I don't want to leave you hanging. Things will be as they were soon enough, I'm sure. But I have to kind of focus on what's important at the moment. And I had a little free time. I just thought I would just holler at you, share a couple things with you. Maybe next week if I'm here, who knows how long I'll be here, how long as long as I need to be. But who knows how long I'll be. If it's too long, then I'll buy some more equipment maybe and try to. I'm sorry, I'm driving. There's someone driving in the middle of the park. So they're bound to run somebody over. So.
Yeah, I think you got to get back out on the road and then go down that way and take a right.
So somebody's driving in the middle of the park. You're not supposed to do that. You're going to run over animals and people and all that stuff. But yeah, I lost my train of thought. But I'm here, and I really, really appreciate your support. I really appreciate the people who have, said some kind words of support. It means a lot. This is tougher than I imagine it would be, and I'm doing the best that I can. Positive things are going to happen. I love you. I hope you stay tuned for some future episodes. I got lots of vlogs already done and ready, so you may see those on Friday. But the podcast I didn't plan out, so this is a lesson, if anything. I didn't plan out, so I was doing it episode by episode like I did with vlogging, but I can do that because I can just go anywhere and do whatever I want, where, most of my stuff is within interviews and I'm talking. So maybe some of mine should be monologue, maybe more structured. Let me know what you think. If you believe that maybe I should just, do some monologues here time and maybe focus on different subjects. Lots of stuff I could talk to you about, lots of places I've been, lots of ways I try to save money by traveling, lots of different things I think you can benefit from if I share them. So I can go ahead and copy all the other YouTubers and podcasters, or you guys can let me know what you want me to discuss, and I'll happily discuss it. All right. So I love you, and I'll see you next week. Thanks for joining me on the Novel World Travels podcast. Subscribe on your favorite platform, leave a review, and share it with your friends. Join me on my community on Facebook. That's / Novel World Travels, and Instagram, Novel World Travels. And join me on my webpage, which is novelworldtravels.earth. And remember, life is outside. And if you can't get there, join me and my friends on the Novel World Travels podcast. I love you all.